reduced school funding has affected my classroom in particular in many ways. I just want to share one. One of the significant needs for my kids is experiences in the community, going to visit grocery stores and walking in the park and visiting the post office and doing those kinds of critical life skills that we'd like to learn. Going out to a restaurant just to learn how to read a menu and order food. And because of the funding cuts in our county, we can't provide transportation the 6 miles or the 3 miles it takes to get from my school to the town. And so my kids are missing a very important part of their education. So I urge the legislators to support education funding as much as possible.
I would say the budget cuts this year have affected us in class size, but also just in general spending by teachers in their classrooms. On average, I think I put about $2,000 a year into my classroom of my own money just to make sure that my kids are getting what they need, and that's becoming harder and harder to do. I think it's affected our PBIS systems in that we want to offer all these great incentives to kids for positive behavior, but it's hard to offer incentives when you don't have the money for transportation, to take them to go see a movie or things like that. We haven't even really been able to initiate our incentive program with them yet because we're so focused on money has to go towards those other viable options like textbooks, technology, classroom resources that are also just as important.
It's been a frustrating year. I've lost a drama class based off of last year because all of a sudden now I'm teaching English because we've lost some teachers in the county. My dance program has been cut. I've gone from teaching multiple dance classes down to one. I know with the music department, they're all traveling. Every single music teacher travels from building to building, and they're not in one place for an entire week or even 2 or 3 days. They're in a different building every day. And we have arts teachers, art teachers doing the same exact thing. So it's been a very frustrating year trying to make sure that we're all educating the same students properly.
I think that the way that budget cuts have affected our schools the most have been with the reduction in a specific position in our county. We used to have something called instructional coaches, and what these instructional coaches did is they came out to schools and met with teachers who expressed an interest in bettering their teaching abilities. I worked with an instructional coach for 2 years, and I can accredit her with so many things in my classroom. And most directly, my students have benefited from that professional development experience that I had with her. Without it, I wouldn't be the teacher I am today. Unfortunately, this year is our first year without instructional coaches because of the budget reductions. And I think it's something that not only I am feeling, but more importantly, my students are feeling the impact of. The thing that I learned in college was that the most important aspect of teaching was being reflective and looking at what you're doing. And I don't have a videotape or a video recorder in my classroom all the time, and I always don't have another set of eyes. And that instructional coach helped me in reflecting on my own practice and becoming better.
Budget cuts for us really hit positions. We lost teachers, we lost support staff. We lost about 47 positions total this year with our budget cuts. So we lost paraprofessionals to help our special education students in the classroom, provide an extra set of hands and support to our kids. We're full inclusion, which means all students of all abilities are in every regular classroom. We don't have pullouts, so that's especially important. And our resource teachers have been deployed back to the classroom. So we have a lot of technology that we're grateful for in Cecil County, computers, smart boards in a lot of the classrooms, but now we don't have the specialized teachers to provide the regular teachers the training to use those tools. And we've also lost our special education resource teachers, so those of us that just have the regular college education in a curriculum or background content area and don't have the specialized skills for our special needs students, we don't have any expert to go to now other than our chair of our building who accesses the IEPs, or the head of the department. We've lost our on-the-ground forces to do that. In science, I can say supplies, science and technology are always increasing, and we try the best we can, but when we're doing experiments, we may have outdated tools, or they may have gone on to some new technology that's being used in industry, and we can't match that. We can't give our students that experience. So that's a difficulty, sharing tools, sharing items, books. There's a teacher that uses my classroom, we share classrooms, and she teaches math, and there aren't enough math textbooks for each student to have one, so it's hard for each student to learn the best they can without the materials, basic materials that every kid should have. The kids aren't coming in with their supplies. They don't have, they're not coming in with new backpacks. They're not coming in with notebooks. In middle school they have 4 content courses to start with. We're on a block schedule, and they may only have 1 binder instead of 4 for each subject. They don't have those get ready for school supplies that they normally would have. They don't have new clothes. They might not have new shoes. I've helped kids duct tape their shoes. We provide clothes for kids when we can that we have in need. We provide food for families at the holidays and other times when there's a necessity. But one of the things that struck me is in science, I teach a unit on heat, and one of the questions that came up, we just asked about, what the average temperature in their house was, and we were talking about electrical bills and heating bills. And I had about 4 students in one class say that they didn't have heat in their house last year at all, and that the heat was not turned on because their parents could not afford to pay the electric bills. So that really hits.
Our schools have been impacted with the class sizes, with cutting teachers, cutting enrichment programs. They've cut the after-school buses for transportation for after-school programs. The cuts can continue to go on and on and on, and I can stand here and talk for 5 minutes about this. But the more I talk, the more upset I get when I see that our schools are paying for our kids to play sports that they love, and it costs $100 to play a sport. Then when we go to watch the games, they charge everybody $7. It's the highest in the state. We're a very rural Eastern Shore community. Our kids deserve better. Us taxpayers deserve better, and we're not going to stand for this anymore. I want them to let the county commissioners in all of the counties make sure they fully fund our budget at the maintenance of effort, which is a law, and they should not have to opt out of the law and pay a fine.
We are missing a lot of supplies that I find that I am having to supply my classroom with, such as usual items like pencils, spiral notebooks, but more importantly, we're trying to vest our interest in today's society and get our children educated. And I find that I'm sharing books with other teachers, which takes away from classroom time where I'm instructing, running around trying to make sure someone who's using the science book is finished with it so I can have it for my class. I want to do my part to keep Maryland schools #1 in education. We can't do it unless the funding is given. Clara Floyd said it best. She said that #1 education starts with #1 educators, and I would like to add that it also begins with #1 educational funding. And I know I'm doing my part. Are you?